his name?
Who?
The person talking about?
The person we're talking about was my father.
Yes.
And his name was Vertis Roy Conn.
Okay. Does he have a nickname?
Actually, his nickname was Peanut, and I don't know where that came from, except that he was the baby of the family, so maybe they just called him Peanut because he was the littlest.
Yeah. Did he have any hobbies?
Oh, music.
Music?
He was a musician. He learned to play fiddle when he was very young, and music was always a passion and a hobby for him.
Did you ever see him play music?
I did. He would practice sometimes at our house, and he had one of the first ever reel-to-reel tape recorders, and he used to tape his music sometimes, and once in a while one of his friends would come and they would sit around and play.
What did he do in his free time?
Well, he liked to fish, and he liked to hunt. He was very good at keeping up the yard. He had one of the first riding lawnmowers in our neighborhood, and I'll never forget it. It was a turquoise blue, and he built a little pull-behind trailer that he would let my brother and I ride in sometimes, but mostly he made us follow him around in the yard and pick up sticks and time comes and throw in the trailer so we wouldn't mow over them.
Yeah.
And
Seems so nice.
And he kept a very nice shop, very organized in the garage. He liked to build things. He built furniture. We still have 2 or 3 pieces of furniture that he built at my mother's house, and at my house I have a bookcase that he built. So he liked to do that kind of thing.
Do you want to tell us a story?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about one time when he went fishing with he had several brothers-in-law, and they liked to go fish and hunt, things like that together.
Yeah.
And he had been injured in World War II. He actually lost a leg, so we used to call it a wooden leg, and they call it prosthetic now, but we called it a wooden leg because it's made out of wood. And so he went fishing this one day with his brothers-in-law, and I don't think my dad ever learned how to swim.
Oh, no.
And plus having a wooden leg, he was a little nervous in the water. So for some reason he got in the boat first and pushed out into the lake, and the boat started sinking. And his brothers-in-law were standing on the bank up there, and my dad just starts, he fell out of the boat, he's screaming and yelling, and I can't swim, and they're just, the guys are dying laughing at him. What are you laughing at? And one of them finally yelled at him, Peanut, stand up. And the water was only about this deep. It was not deep enough for him to drown in, so that was always a joke on Daddy. But
what do you think changed his life?
I think probably the war. That was, he was in the Philippine Islands for 3 solid years. He never saw any of his family. He never got to talk to him on the telephone. He wrote letters.
Yeah.
You and I looked at some of the letters a while ago that I have a few copies of some letters he wrote home. And I can't imagine being away from my family for 3 years and never being able to speak, to hear their voices, to see them, to hug them. And he saw, so much bloodshed and death in the war, and then he was hurt too. And he was a medic, so he took care of a lot of people's medical injuries.
He was a medic, and then he got injured.
So then he got injured and came home. So, when he came back, he had to go through all kinds of rehabilitation to learn how to walk again and that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that changed his life.
Yeah.
But of course, when I was born, that changed it for the better. So.
How do you think he wants to be remembered?
Well, I'll tell you something. A few months ago, my brother, who's a musician, played a benefit for our museum in Alexandria. And it was done in someone's home, so it was a very comfortable setting, but tons of people there. And one of the men in the audience had actually worked with our dad when they were in their 20s. And after the concert, the man stood up and he told everybody, he was the only person in that room probably that knew our dad.
Except y'all.
Except for us. And he stood up and he talked about how honest and honorable. He said, I never met another man of such honor, such an honorable man in my life.
Yeah.
He said he was honest as the day is long and cared very much about people. And he did. He was very caring, and I think that's how he would like to be remembered.
Okay.